Hey everybody, it's John King, and it's Friday the 14th of October, and I'm freezing. Okay, not really. Like, I'm not cold. It's like, I don't know, 70 some odd degrees outside. It's a beautiful day, but the mortgage and real estate industry, it is freezing, and it is really what I'm starting to call the Great Freeze. And I'm coining that phrase. Somebody can mark it right now in case somebody ever somewhere picks it up and runs with it. John King came up with the Great Freeze. Here's what's going on. The number of transactions in the housing industry is coming to a screeching halt. Now, I'm not saying that nobody's going to buy or sell homes, but here's what I am telling you. The number of people that are going to buy and sell homes in the next 6 months is going to be less than we've seen in a really, really, really long time. Let me explain to you why. First of all, you've got buyers that are scared. I've been talking about this, but it's getting worse. Interest rates today are pushing over 7%. The 10-year Treasury is over 4% today. And there doesn't appear that inflation is ending as quickly as we would hope. Now, I think we're going to start seeing inflation coming down, but it's not going to cause interest rates to drop overnight. And so we've got interest rates that are pushing 7% on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And there's a lot of buyers that just can't buy anymore. There's a lot of buyers who said, you know what? I could have afforded this $500,000 home when the payment was based on a 3% interest rate. And now we're more than double that. We're at a 7% interest rate. And so the number of buyers that can afford to buy that $500,000 home are gone. They've evaporated. Very, very few buyers can afford that anymore that are willing to live in a house that's a $500,000 home. What happens is the buyers that were qualified for an $800,000 home a year ago, well, now they can only qualify for a $500,000 home. And they don't want to live in a $500,000 neighborhood. They want to live in the $800,000 neighborhood. And so the buyers are saying, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm just going to sit it out because there's no way that this can continue without it crashing. Or I'm going to wait for interest rates to drop. Or I just can't afford the house. And so normally what would happen in this point is you'd have sellers saying, well, I don't have a choice. I got to lower my price because I got to sell my home. And the problem is that if you want to sell your home and you have to sell your home, great, go for it. But if you are like the average person right now, you have a really, really good interest rate. You have a great interest rate because you refinanced at some point in 2020 or 2021, and you've got a 2.5% 30-year fixed and 1.9% 15-year fixed. And so you're sitting pretty and you're saying, I don't need to sell. As a matter of fact, if I sell I'm going to lose this great interest rate that I've got. I'm going to stick it out. Why would I want to sell? Now, some people have to sell, but most people don't. Most people are selling because maybe they want to make a lateral move and move to a similar priced home in a different neighborhood that's a better school district. Their payment is likely to go up significantly because their property taxes are going to go up when they move because it resets to current value instead of being tied to what you purchased the house for. And your interest rate's going to go up, and you're going to owe more money on the home because you're going to have a balance greater than what you owe today because you have to pay fees to sell your home and pay fees to buy the next home. And so the sellers are going to say, and they have been saying, you know what? My realtor is pressuring me to lower my price, but it's just not worth it. If I have to lower my price, I'd rather stay where I'm at. And therein lies where we end up with the freeze. We end up with sellers that say, I don't need to sell. We end up with buyers that say, I don't need to buy. Now, prices don't crash because prices crash when you have somebody that has to sell, like the banks back in 2007 and 2008, they had to sell. And so those banks would be in a position where they weren't allowed to hold on to the home and they had to sell it. And so prices crashed. But we're not in that situation. So we're not leading to a crash. We're leading to a freeze. We're seeing a mass exodus in people in the real estate and mortgage industry. We're seeing mortgage companies fold left and right. I just heard of another one this morning that's expected to, a very large mortgage company, won't name names, but a very large mortgage company that's expected to file bankruptcy next week. This is huge. Another very large mortgage company, like these are two companies in the top 10 of mortgage companies, mortgage bankers, that are going to be either filing bankruptcy or closing by the end of the month. It is because there are just no transactions happening. Now, I say no, I don't mean none, but I mean significantly fewer transactions happening. Now, that's opportunity for a buyer that's willing to take a chance. But you have to decide, am I willing to take a chance right now, or I'm going to be like everybody else and sit and wait? So I appreciate you listening as I talk to you about what the freeze is. I do want to add one more thing, which is I just did a video about the 5 reasons why you shouldn't buy a home in today's market. And that's a live video that I recorded earlier today. You can catch it on my YouTube channel. There'll be a link down below to it as well. But during that video, I had added a 6th one that was a bonus reason, and it didn't save, and I forgot what it was. But good news, I remembered what it was. So I'm going to give it to you. And if you were watching my video earlier, you'll get it now. If you didn't, too bad. But here's the 6th reason why you shouldn't buy a home today. And it actually has 100% to do with the freeze. And it's if you're selling your home to downsize to buy a smaller home. Now let's think about that for a second. You've got a lot of people who own a home that as they come to retirement, even if they're not retiring, their kids just graduate high school and they become empty nesters and they want to downsize. There's a couple of specific reasons to downsize, a couple of specific benefits for downsizing. The first one, not as much house to heat, not as much house to clean. So you have less home, you need less furnishings, all that's great. And that is still true no matter what. If you downsize, you'll have less house to heat, less house to clean, less yard to keep up, less maintenance cost. But the second reason why most people downsize is to lower their monthly expenses. Guess what? If you have a $600,000 home that you owe $400,000 on, and your $400,000 is at a 2.5% interest rate. Well, your property taxes on your home right now are tied to what you bought the house for. And if you sell that $600,000 home, you're going to spend $30,000 to $40,000 for selling that home and another $10,000 or $15,000 in fees for buying the new home. So you're talking about a $40,000 to $50,000 loss, meaning that instead of having $200,000 from the sale of your home to put on the next one, you only have $150,000. So let's pretend that you bought a $400,000 home, downsizing from your $600,000 to a $400,000 home. You're actually borrowing $250,000, but your $250,000 is at a 7% interest rate today versus the $400,000 you have right now is at a 2.5% interest rate. That's pretty close to the same monthly payments. And your property taxes shot up because now your property taxes are based on what you bought the new one for at $400,000 instead of what you originally bought your current house for, which might have been below $400,000. So it is causing you to not save the money that you thought you were going to save. So if you were thinking of buying a home to downsize to save money per month, and you've got a great interest rate, you're likely not going to save anywhere much at all, or nowhere near as much as you think you would save off of your monthly payments. So it is a major problem that is a reason to not buy a home in today's market. So that's your bonus reason for not buying a home in today's market. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget about me because I do mortgages. So if you're looking to purchase a home or refinance, and you might say, John, why would I refinance? Well, depending on how much debt you have, refinancing is actually a great option for some people because even with higher interest rates, they've got super high interest rates on all those credit cards they're carrying. And those rates are variable, continuing to go up as the Fed increases rates. So make sure you're thinking about big picture financial decisions, not short term. Oh my gosh, I don't want to trade out this rate for that one. Talk to me if you have any questions or if you're not sure if it's the right thing to do. I'll guide you down the right road. Thanks so much for listening and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.